Hey, y'all, it's your girl, Coach Christal, and welcome to another installment of Wisdom Wednesdays. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Steps and Stages community, and welcome to the Wisdom Wednesday podcast. This podcast was created so that I could get to share with you, steppers, clients, people who are part of our larger community, the people who inspire me, that I learn from, that I love, and that I think have a deep, embodied, embedded wisdom in the way that they live their lives so we can share it with you. Now, we want to welcome you into our community with our Steps and Stages mantra that just says a lot of things happen before this. And I guarantee a lot of things are going to happen after this, but I promise to be here with you now. Please be here with me now. Oftentimes we get so ahead of ourselves in the day that we forget that the present is actually in our presence of being with each other, our time that we give to ourselves, and the moments we just get to tune in and listen. So if you're tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, or you're on our Spotify channel, make sure that you turn up the volume because today's conversation is with a woman that I love, I admire, and who I see work in the world on a really transformative level. Please help me welcome Michelle Gibson. Hey, Shell.
Hey, sis.
So good to see you. Listen, I don't do a lot of my guests, their introduction justice. So please tell us who you are in your own words.
You know what? That's a loaded question. Who am I? Right?
Yep.
But what I will say is I am Michelle Nicole Gibson, first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
I am the daughter of the late Reverend B.A. Gibson. I am the daughter of Carolyn Gibson. I am a mother of two beautiful children, Ailey and Nigel. And all of the other things behind it. I'm going to stop right there for a reason.
Yeah.
Wait, let me add on. Let me take a dot away.
Okay.
I am a woman. I am a lover. I am a minister. I am human. I have flaws. I'm not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Yeah. And so when we thought about this episode, Michelle, we named it, or I named it in collaboration with you, of carrying culture, because that's what I see you do.
Yeah.
I see you hold up a standard for who we are as women, for who we are as Black women, for the culture of dance and embodied scholarship that we come from. And that is something that I think is a heavy mantle to carry. It comes with a lot of scrutiny. It comes with a lot of, work and transformation within oneself, because culture is always changing. And as far as I see, sometimes we've gotten away from the original definition of culture, right? Which is really about how we care for each other rather than what we wear, what we look like, But tell me a little bit about the work that you find in your carrying of culture. Like, what is it? How did you come to it? How do you keep at it? Because it's a hard road.
It sometimes it depends on how others define culture.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
For me, culture is my upbringing. Culture is everything that I was exposed to as a child that ultimately influence who I am today,
Mm-hmm.
right? Mm-hmm. Culture is the rituals of different experiences that I've learned how to embody and wear as my own personal experience and then share that experience with the world, right?
Yeah.
Culture is how we talk.
Yeah.
It's how we walk. It's how we cook. It's how we gather. It's how we gather. My practice revolves around gathering.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way possible, Christal, like that I will ever be able to ignore the fact that I was raised as a preacher's daughter.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And there's something very profound being raised in the Black church. When we specifically talk about the Black church and the processional of things that happen consistently every Sunday that you grow up in, and it becomes a part of your worship, right?
Right.
The gathering. Being from New Orleans, I mean, come on now.
Right.
I don't know what people want me to say anymore, right? Everything we do or we did and still doing is part of an exchange of energies in a gathering.
Right. Right.
Very seldom do you see people rolling solo. It's important for me to make sure that I'm clear too. Let me say this. Make sure that I'm clear about what the purpose is that God has for me to do this type of work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you see a lot of people that are leaders.
Yeah.
People that are following these leaders, but there is a disconnection in the leader understanding their true purpose and being able to do the real work.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So in the culture, for me, I found that it was a perfect opportunity to be able to utilize my upbringing from a very religious and spiritual place, but also fuse with ancestral energy, right?
Yep.
Because I don't detach.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
My spiritual beliefs from my ancestral beliefs, right?
Right.
My sacred and my secular live together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because God and God is God alone. And he really don't need no help from us, of definition.
Right.
So between the culture of how I was brought up, the city that I was born in, along with my talents and abilities that God has so graciously given me, I utilize all of those tools to do what I can do to bring awareness to the world, to heal the world, to allow the world and allow people to exchange in a way where music and sound and physicality is the language, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All of these things together. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
Harriet Tubman had to do the same thing. I'm just what I'm doing is not anything that hasn't been done before. But
right.
When you look at women in the culture,
right.
It was never meant for us to lead.
Now,
It
go
was,
ahead and explain, because some people gonna be, they're not gonna understand that.
Bless their hearts, but let me bless them. In the culture, when you look at positionings of hierarchy,
yeah.
From a religious aspect, the ministers, the bishops of the church have always been men, male dominated, right? When you look at, for instance, in the culture, the first social aid and pleasure club, right, was a male organization. It was a male dominated, driven organization. The first social aid and pleasure club was not women. Women were not included in this, right? So here we go once again, the leads, right? When you look at, for instance, the Black Mardi Gras Indians, right? That conversation of who New Orleans is with the fusion of indigenous and African rituals and ceremonies and regalia, all those, the big chief, he the lead. That never meant that women couldn't.
Correct.
Right? Let's just say that.
Yeah, and I wanted you to say that because that's where people get stuck.
Right. I want to make sure y'all are unstuck. Right.
Get unstuck.
It wasn't that women could not lead in the culture or could not lead in these instances, but because of how society has structured the dominance of male's presence, in their presence possibly having the ability to do the thing and not sure if like all of that, all of that, listen, is so made up. There's no way possible that a woman, the person who gives birth to the earth, without us, there will be no others, right? Is not able to lead. We were the mothers of the church. Now, this is interesting. In the religious, in the Black church, right? You had the mothers of the church, right? And I was always interested about, right, if they're the mothers of the church, like the mothers of the earth, why are they not in the pulpit? They can prepare the table for communion. They can stand at the door and welcome, be the first person that people see coming in. But I'm not able to stand behind the podium, the platform, the pulpit, and give a word. All of those things kind of like made me even more so want to be present in the gift that God has given me, right? Yeah. I've had this gift since I was little. I was always brought to the forefront. As a preacher's kid, when your daddy said that you have to do the welcome,
you better do it.
First, giving obedience to God, who's the head of my life. Second, to the pastor, officers, and members of this great cathedral. I greet you in the name of the listen. I had to be a representation for the young people, which meant, Christal, in the discipline and structure of the Black church, being a pastor's daughter, it taught me how to be present and how to move in ways that was the best representation for how other young girls should be moving.
Right.
It held me accountable.
No pressure.
No pressure, right? That did something for me as a young woman. So that every time I was put in front as an educator, like deciding to be a teacher, educator, having to stand in front of young people and be this representation, not the idol, but the representation of what education is, right? It was never a problem for me to step in that position because I grew up in having to do that.
Right.
With a reverence. Being a grand marshal.
Yeah. Say more.
Leading processionals. During the pandemic, I had the honor of, let me go back before the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's been how many years since Baba Chuck Davis passed, Christal?
I want to say 8.
8 years. Mother's Day. He passed on Mother's Day because I was in church. Do you know that I had spoke to Baba like a couple of months prior to? Just, checking on him. Knew what he was going through, knew everything. And I've told very few people this. But, Baba said to me, he said, his voice, Michelle. I was like, yes, Baba. He was like, if anything happens, I need you to take me on in. I haven't told that many people that because I don't even know why, because I'm sharing this. And I was like, well, what are you talking about, Baba? I already knew. He already knew where he was in his life and how much time. And I said, okay. Yeah. All right, Baba, no problem. Kind of brushed it off. I was in church Mother's Day morning. My phone was blowing up. The people that were calling me, I had already knew. Because these people don't call me. I had already knew. I saw this name and this name. And I was like, he done gone. He done gone in the glory. He done got them wings, right? And then I got a phone call. So it was like, Michelle, we need you. Now, I don't even know if Baba said something to anyone saying that this is what he wanted to happen to his life. But I was asked to Grand Marshal Baba on home. Baba, now we talking about Baba Chuck Davis.
Yes, right. Iconic. For those of you who don't know, Baba Chuck Davis was an icon in the dance field. He is one of the conduits for how we see West African dance in the culture of America. Yes. He is the bridge between Africa to the Americas. He put himself, he laid down his life, his body, his finances, his vision for many of us to even be where we are in the dance world today. Ashe and Amen.
Ashe. So that was a moment in my whatever I was in, trying to figure out my positioning and how I wanted to, move forward with the culture. It was that moment and moments afterwards where I was like, okay, I'm being brought to the forefront to do the work. What does that mean to be a Grand Marshal?
Yeah.
You're a gatekeeper.
Yeah. What does it mean to be past the mantle like that? I think a lot of people are in their own trajectory of success so hard that they don't notice when there is an elder, there is someone ahead of them who wants to pass them the mantle. It's not a promotion or upgrade. It's a culture carrying, right? It's a keeping the light alive.
It is honorable. And not only is it honorable, it's also scary.
Yeah.
Because I literally stand still for as long as Spirit needs me to, until the intercession happens where they say, I'm ready to walk now. I stand there and I wait for them. This is not anything that I'm doing because I'm trying to be seen as being something bigger than who I am. This is a gift that God has given me and that the ancestors have blessed me with, and I don't take it lightly. Right. So when I stand in lieu of waiting for spirit to say, I am now ready to take my closer walk with thee. And when the dirge begins, the dirge is the medley of spirituals that is played at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. And if anybody know them old spirituals. Oh. Talking that just a closer walk. Christal, you know, just a closer walk with thee.
Yes, I do.
What's the rest of it?
Ooh, wait, don't hit me with the North. Just a closer walk. Just a closer walk with thee, O Lord.
Granted Jesus is my plea.
Yes.
Daily walking close to thee. Let it be.
Let it be.
Dear Lord, let it be. So, wah, 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 wah. That horn coming, right? Right? That's when me and spirit standing right next to each other. I'm like, you ready? And so that moment with Baba and other moments I've had to stand at the door is very sacred. And so what I'm saying now is probably what the entire world needs to hear at some point, because I haven't really shared it on this level. But know when you see Michelle in Gibson, in her regalia, standing, leading, I am standing in sacred space. I am not there for fashion. I am not there because I'm trying to be seen, but that is the work that God and my ancestors have called me to do. And I do that. Out of most of everything that I do that unapologetically.
And I think, Michelle, just so, right, because I want to bring this to real clarity for people, because I think what happens is that we take culture for granted. We see people who are culture workers and we think that's just a part of what they love to do. But the work of being a conduit for other people's transformation, for other people's spiritual ascension is not easy. I just want to say that out loud, y'all. And I think the closest that most people get is a minister, a pastor, or a bishop, right? They don't necessarily have people in their circle who are their own personal spiritual guides. Many of us have a hard time being honest enough to actually to have a spiritual practice. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all grow at the rate we grow, right? But we sometimes confuse religion and spirituality, and some of us think we can ascend to spirituality without practicing the rules of religion, right? And it's, as artists, you and I know that you got to be able to do the plie before you do the jump, right? And you got to practice before you perform. And that practice of religion that some of us get so disgruntled with and feel like it holds us back, or is some type of colonizing form that separates us from God and puts us right back into this kind of new systematic religious slave trade. We miss the mark on practicing the strategic part of getting closer to our spiritual aliveness, right? And so I think what you're saying is that, you listen, when you see me standing still, trust me, not everything is moving.
My God.
Yeah.
Everybody made me start shouting on this here Wisdom Wednesday.
But that's it. We confuse our own stagnation with, like, that's what Spirit and God are doing. That's you.
You know what? And you know, folks need to sit down for a minute. folks, I need people to just sit down and put the finger on the lip. Yeah. And let me tell you why. Because I wonder sometimes, I'll be like, God, do you get tired of people trying to define you? God, do you get tired of people trying to create their own narratives for who you are and what you do? Do you get tired? Like, you said something that's profound. The practice of trying to get to that space with the Most High, where your faith is unquestioned, where your fears are diminished, where your contemplation no longer lies because you fully surrendered yourself. The process to that, growing up in the church, and we know that everything in the church ain't right. We know, come on, y'all. Like we know, right? And we gotta do better, right? In order to be better, we gotta do better. Right. But at the same time, there was a structure that taught us how to pray. Mm-hmm. No one knows how. You got to be put in it every day as a practice. Our Father, our Father, mm-hmm. our Father. Right? You start to sink into the practice where it becomes a true embodiment, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter what your denomination was that you came up in. God is just waiting. He wants us to just give reverence to the practice. Yeah. Yeah. So that we can get to him or whatever that is for people, right?
Exactly.
Or whatever it is for you. Yeah. But it's hard. This is not easy work, right? This is, I sometimes I feel like I have the weight of souls on me, right? Mm-hmm. It takes a while. People don't know it takes a while for me to cleanse myself, to remove, to relinquish all of everybody else's isms on me.
Right.
That's difficult to have to get up and do it again.
Right.
And again.
Right.
So along with being a cultural ambassador, mm-hmm. still having to think about my own self personally. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. And that's where I am right now in my life. And I'm going to be completely honest, Christal. Mm-hmm. I'm at the crossroads right now. I'm standing in the center. I am standing in the center still.
Right. Waiting for instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But let's just be clear also with our audience, Michelle, that because we live in a world that is so loud and so entertaining and attention grabbing, standing still is one of the most profound things we can do.
But it's also one of the hardest things we can do.
Of course, yes, I agree.
Because we stand still and then we be like, oh no, I think I want to be a part of that. Let me just step over there for a second. And then
like, what you say? What's all the options with no opportunity? Right.
Because we're still that's still a desire, right? Mm-hmm. To still be a part,
right,
of the masses. Right now, Christal, I have to honestly say, like, sometimes I don't feel like being a part of it because, like you said, it's loud. It's too loud. It's everybody has opinions now.
Yeah. And but you know what really makes me sad is that it's so loud that it gives people the opportunity to fall back into their own fear and not have to put their voice out into the room because they're like, oh, you won't hear me anyway, right? Like it just turns into this cyclical thing about if you can't hear me, then it doesn't matter. And then people get their own self-worth stuffed down to the point where they only can idolize, patronize other people. And then the loss of identity is evident.
It is evident. I think that's one of the reasons why we do that is because the loudness it's so many different perspectives. Like let's just be honest, social media.
Yeah.
It's loud.
Yeah.
It screams, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm clear about why people are on there, why some people are doing what they're doing. That's fine. But when you are that person that is scrolling, what you're doing is you're scrolling through energies.
Yeah.
So look at one thing, post, you take that in, you think about it, you have a perspective about it, then you move to the next one, then you move to the next one, then you move to the next one. By the time you log off or really get off, you have so many of other people's theories and ideologies and all these things that are going on in your mind. You done totally forgot about who you were and where you were. And then you start to question what is it? Should I start moving like that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the sound. Yeah. The sound. So being still for me is also removing myself from a minute from so much noise.
Yeah. And quiet, I hear what you're saying, right? Stillness and quiet can be some of the most intimidating spaces for us because we spend so much time on the external, right? Looking for that intrinsic, intuitive voice again. is work. And I mean, that's the work we do here at Steps and Stages, right? Like we are constantly getting clients to tune back into who they are so that they can actually live a life rather than do a bunch of things and call it living.
But you know what, Chris? In order for people individually to do that, there are going to be some things that they're going to have to let go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But letting go is the fight.
Indeed.
Truly like, how do you do that? Like, I still, as you know, there's so many motivational speakers, so many people are trying their best to like help people figure out how to do that. But my question is, has anyone really figured it out? How to let go and not be resentful afterwards? Not to have any more questions about it. And how to truly be able to walk and move forward in a new breath.
Yeah.
In a new space. Like, how do you actually really do that?
Yeah.
And how long does it take? And are people willing to wait on time? Because the thing is, we want to dictate how long. But time, my God. Not even regular time. God's time. God's timing, ing. Honey, sugar, just sit still.
Right. Right. And wait. But it's really also a process of, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, right? It's that process of understanding the spiritual law of sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
Right? Because time is built on sowing and reaping, right? We have to be still to even know what it is we have to plant. Like, what is your seed? What is your gift? And once that's planted, then we have to go through the process of what that means for it to grow, to matriculate, to harvest, to feed other people, and then understand that a lot of what we're making isn't even for us to be fed, right? Like, we had this conversation. The ideas that we think about creation and manifestation and attraction are built on what we want when we want it. Transformation, real transformation, is built on the lessons learned, the seeds planted, and the willingness to shed the old to get to the new.
And before we can answer the what, like what is the seed that has been planted, before that, we have to look at who the seed is being planted in.
Yeah.
Like, just look at yourself. Just stand in the mirror and just look at yourself. Like, don't even worry about the seed yet, right? That you can't even get that. Who is this vessel?
Yeah.
The vessel. Can I define my vessel?
Yep.
Do I acknowledge my vessel? Because if I can't acknowledge the vessel, and with how am I going to even be able to understand the seed that's in my belly?
That's the thing. And I think that when you're saying, is there a process? Yeah. But it starts with individual identity, being honest about intuitive desire.
Yes.
Because a lot of times people know what they should be doing. They're just like, that's not a real job, or people are going to laugh at me doing it. But to have the courage and really the ability to own your identity in that way is what stops most people. Right. We are nobody grows alone. Shell. We know that, right? Like, for good, bad, right, wrong. We didn't get to be who we are today without being shaped by other people.
Right.
Right. And so we could want to reshape ourselves, but in order to even reshape ourselves, we're gonna still have to have some other people.
Right.
Right. And we have to know what we actually want to build. Like, that's the thing. This, this culture, again, the culture that we're living in, surrounded by this kind of loud culture that is not intuitively how we're built, says you could do it by yourself. Like, that cut all those people out. You could be the alpha male, the alpha female. You could do it on your own. You self-made. Nobody's self-made.
Nobody's self-made, but I think too, a lot of people may choose, and let me stop saying a lot of people. Let me just speak for myself. Let me just speak in the I, right? I feel like there's been so many situations in my life where people have proven to me in my face that I couldn't trust them. Not even them themselves showing me, but the situations that I had been put in.
Yeah.
Tapped into my inability to trust people. So in this process of knowing that you can't do it alone, one of the fear factors for me is, if I allow this help, will I not be hurt by it? Just being authentic, just putting it out there, right? Like how do I know that my vulnerability in this moment won't be manipulated again?
Exactly. Right. And that's right. Again, and what we have to really then kind of start to detangle is the culture of fear.
I think you're about right. The culture of fear.
The culture of fear. And that's something we're carrying whether we like it or know it or not.
Yep. Right. And the fears, these fears that we have wasn't fears that happened yesterday. No. Some of these fears happened 20 years ago.
Right.
We literally still wear it on our bodies as an experience.
Right. Yeah, can't wash it off, can't get it out because we haven't given voice to it, first of all. Haven't given voice to it, haven't understood it, and are actually holding on to it as the pattern by which we think we should be living our life. The safety, the responsibility, the being careful, all those things are fear-based.
Yes, are fear-based. So in this transformation, maybe one of the things that we should look at first, some of us, is defining the fears.
Yeah.
Do we have the courage? Do we have the courage to sit and define the fears? Or not even define, let me not even say define, acknowledge the fears.
Acknowledge, yeah.
Acknowledging is two different processes, right?
Yeah. And the other part of that, where we spend like at least 3 weeks in our 12-week program on, Michelle, is after the fear is forgiveness.
Now listen, sugar. I don't have a response for that. I am still in my human form.
Yes.
Very hard on forgiving.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's happening, right?
Yeah, it's a process.
It's happening, but I think I think it's not happening as fast as it could for me.
Right.
Only because it reappears.
Right.
Right. I'd be like, wait a minute, like it's almost like you be dodging. Like what?
No, I'm so glad you said that, because I tell my clients all the time, you're going to have a practice of fear and forgiveness, but you have to know so clearly how your fear fits you and what your forgiveness looks like.
Yes. Right. What does forgiveness look like? Now that's a whole nother what is this? Wisdom Wednesday.
Okay, it really is. It really is.
Right. Yeah. So but all of these things are so important. And right now it's really interesting. I have a feeling of talking to you and me talking through myself. This is very therapeutic. Yeah. Because am I a private person? Yes.
I mean, but the work you do necessitates that you have to keep your own heart guarded.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm listening. I'm listening to your responses and your questions, and then I'm hearing my response and understanding this is a confirmation for me to continue to do the work.
Yeah.
Like we encourage everybody all the time.
Right.
We don't encourage ourselves. Like like look, continue to do the work. Like continue. You're on the right path, but as we're walking these paths to help others, we gotta sometimes be still to get on that next walk for ourselves. Like it has to align. Right. I feel like one can't be a little bit more than others. For me, it's like total alignment with me and myself and me and the world. So this is, thank you.
Yeah. This is good. Okay, let's bring it back because you and I could be on here having this conversation all day.
I don't even remember what the first question.
That's okay. We could be on here all day, just dismantling all the ways that we want to really be human in the world and allow people to see each other's spiritual being rather than trying to keep clouding it with accolades, jobs, cars, houses, even the way we treat our children, like trying to not using children as trophies, all the things, right? Like people get wrapped up in so many things, right? And so again, we could be here all day. Let me ask you the question of the season. Okay.
Oh, I'm nervous.
So each season on Wisdom Wednesday, we have a question that we ask every guest. And our question this season comes from a Don DeLillo quote that says, "The family is the cradle of the world's misinformation." Now, when we think about that, I wonder if you could share with us one thing that you had to unlearn or some misinformation you got from your family growing up.
Oh my Lord. Let me everybody bow your heads. Wait a minute. Wait. Oh my, what I had to learn.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Can you say it again? The family is the cradle of
the world's misinformation.
The family.
Yep.
What did I have to unlearn? That's a hard one.
Probably because it's so many. I mean, I done had to unlearn so many things. Bless their hearts.
Bless their hearts. I didn't say their hearts, their hearts. Okay. Christal, I have had to unlearn how to not allow myself to be made to feel guilty about what it is I cannot do.
That's a good one. That's a good one, right? Because especially growing up as a PK, you had to serve everybody.
Yes.
And that's virtually impossible for one person to do well.
The guilt. The guilt of feeling as if I didn't do it. Like that I didn't get through.
Yeah.
There's a possibility I didn't. The guilt of that. I have to unlearning.
Yeah.
Unlearning that at the end, even what I couldn't do, that it doesn't mean that in time and in another season I won't be able to.
Right.
But it was just that in that moment. And I think God is so intentional with sometimes putting us in those positions to remind us that, hey, I'm the Most High.
Yeah.
I'm the Alpha and Omega. So you trying to take on who I am as if you can turn water into wine like I let old boy do. Like, but the charge, right? I have to unlearn that I have to be put in those positions so that I can be reminded that I am human. I am walking in human form.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still moving through a spiritual lane.
That's good. That's good.
Of what I can't do. The guilt of beating myself up because I can't do it. Or pushing to do it knowing that I couldn't.
Right. And then ultimately causing yourself harm. Yeah.
So I hope I answered your question.
No, I think that's great because at the end of that, what you really had to unlearn guilt and relearn grace. Right, because that's.
I don't mean to be dramatic. I'm sorry, but say that one more time. I had to unlearn
guilt, and relearn grace.
I'm about to go get that tattoo on my
Go,
forehead, right?
let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Right. Because I know that I know this thing that you're explaining, and what set me free from it was, I don't know who said it, but it could have been a message, could have been something. But I heard this gentleman say one day, you know, many of us want to save everyone, but if you can do for one what you would love to do for them all, you've done your job.
You've done your job.
Yeah.
You've done your job.
Right.
You know how they used to say, you can't save them all.
You can't.
You can't, but there will be one.
There will be one. Right. Right.
Whose vessels will be open, and you can, whatever you got to give will, the intercession will happen.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I love it. Michelle, listen, thank you so much for the work that you do in and out of the dance field, in and out of our community as an ambassador for culture, sharing with us the practice of ritual in each and every day, and what you're doing to inspire young people, to give them a voice to actually dismantle a lot of the untruth that they're learning. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited for you and the work you're doing. May you find rest, may you find healing, and may you continue to practice grace, because you deserve it.
Thank you, Christal, and I'm so proud of you. Listen, I don't know if anybody told you lately, but I am proud of your journey. I am proud of the way you stepped out fearlessly. I am proud of how you are so present in who you are. I didn't say perfect. Right. I said present.
Correct.
You are, that you're able to share this with the world. I will continue to pray for you, sis. You continue to pray for me, and we're going to continue to do this work. Ashe.
Ashe and amen. Listen, y'all, if you are just joining us, go ahead and go back and rewind to get this wisdom. If you're listening to it on Spotify, rewind, make sure you get all the jewels that were dropped today. If you want to subscribe, do that on YouTube and Spotify. And if you want to get to a place where you can design a life you love, I want you to jump over to visioncamplive.com, mark the date in your calendar of October 28th. I don't know where you're going to be. I don't know what you had planned, but I want you to put yourself first, because vision first, and then the life you would love comes after. You got to start somewhere. Let's start with me. I'll see you soon, y'all. This is Wisdom Wednesdays, and we're out.